Democrat of the day today, we head up to Senate District 32. Kate Luthner is a candidate we had on last time we did this, a few years back, and she has decided to run for Senate District 32 this time. She's kind enough to join us today to talk about her decision to do so and her campaign. Kate, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks so much.
Now, I have to remind you, the minute I called you, you said, oh, by the way, from the last time we talked, I watched Jaws. And I'm like,
I watched Jaws.
So why don't you explain, was it something that you had not seen it before? And I was stunned by that?
Yes, you were so you had other people on ahead of me, so I kind of joined into the program, and you were talking about movies and movies that scared you, and they're like Jaws, number one, Jaws, and I'm like, I've never actually seen it. So when my youngest daughter wanted to watch a scary movie one night, I'm like, well, let's watch Jaws. So it held up, but I've thought of you for the last 2 years with the movie Jaws.
Oh, that's nice.
And, Democrat.
a massive shark attack movie, Matt McNeil. How old was your child before you subjected her to this movie?
Well, she is my kid who likes horror, and today is actually her 10th birthday. So today we just finished singing and eating cake.
Wonderful. So Happy birthday.
She was 9.
Oh,
thank you. So she was 9, and she was into it. She's all about the scary movies.
When she gets to be about 14 or 15, the 1982 version of The Thing with Kurt Russell. Holy cow, that one still scares me today. That one's a fantastic film.
So that's what it is. I'm just going to get movie recommendations for you every couple of years.
Well, you can do that anytime, Kate. I'd love to have you on for that. Absolutely fine.
We could call in, talk movies. So you mentioned I chose to run in 32. I got redistricted.
Yeah.
So you don't get to pick where you run.
Well, you chose. They redistricted you, but you did make the choice. You ran last time. Why did you make the choice? You said to yourself, you know what? I'm running again.
I'm running again. So before I ran in 31, which was a very Republican-leaning district, and I ran last time because somebody needed to run. So somebody needs to be on the Democratic ticket so people can vote.
Amen.
And today is the last day that people can, actually, I think it's closed now, 4 o'clock it closed. But it's really important to show that we have representation actually on both sides of the coin. So you need a Republican to vote for, you need a Democrat to vote for. And there was nobody in 31. So a friend said, hey, why don't you try this thing? So I did. And it was a really hard district to run in, but I learned a lot about the system, about what we're fighting for, and that there's a lot of people who care deeply. And even though they feel like everyone around them is Republican, it's not true. I've door knocked. I've seen the stats. There's a lot of pockets of blue all over what you would consider a red district. And then redistricting happened, and I knew I would be redistricted. I am on an edge. My house is very much the edge of a district, and it's a new edge now. I didn't know if I'd go north, south, east, or west. I had no idea. So I took 2 years, not off, but I took 2 years to be the best school board member I could possibly be. COVID really did a lot for school boards, between trying to keep kids safe and educated, and then dealing with a lot of the political stuff, for the nicest word possible, that came out from parents and some advocacy groups that school boards have had to deal with the last couple of years. So a little bit of a proving ground. And when I got redistricted south. So I am in Columbus, and the district is predominantly Blaine. So 80% of the population is in Blaine. And then there's some in Columbus and Ham Lake and Andover. So that's the district, is Blaine, Columbus, Ham Lake, and Andover, and only slivers of Ham Lake and Andover.
Kate, I want to give you, if I can, I want to give you a lot of praise. You're a school board member for the last 2 years. Dear Lord bless you. You had to deal with some of the toughest experiences a lot of people had, and you stuck through it. Just, there's a reason I like you, Kate. It's your, bless you for going through that. That must have been rough.
It was. We had death threats. We had briefings about, we had to move our meetings because we had a giant plate glass window. We had here's the exit if you need to get out the other way. So, I wish we didn't need to, but you know what they say, I don't have to like what you say, but I'll defend your right to say it. Words don't actually hurt. Guns do. So when we started getting real threats, that was a thing. But we have a great relationship with the police in Forest Lake. So were they were at all our meetings, and so they still stop by every meeting. And if there's any rough characters in the audience, they sit with us and they make sure that it's everything's going safe and sound. So that's. I wish I didn't have to, but I'm glad I have good backup. So, but it's really important for the kids to make sure that they have an education and schools that care and walk the line between what we can do to keep them safe and what we need to do to get them educated.
Your district with the redistricting in here as well. I'm looking at the map of it. It is interesting because that is a district that has been trending, especially Blaine. The southern part of Blaine, the western part of Blaine has been trending blue. It's a lot of these areas. I got moved too in my district. I was in with Minnesota 5. I'm now in Minnesota 3. A lot of things changed, and a lot of districts which at one point you'd say to yourself, well, that's going to be a hard win. Now it's not nearly. And I mean, as you said, you get out there and you door knock, your district definitely is now a lot bluer than it was before.
It's much more blue. I mean, I couldn't have gotten more red. Well, I guess I could have, but
yeah.
I was very red before. And now I've heard it said it's slightly more blue than red. I've heard it's slightly more red than blue. I'm going to call it 50-50, and I'm going to work really hard to get some of those lean Republicans voting for me. I've got name recognition in Columbus as a school board member, and this is the redder side of the line. So hopefully people see me as a caring, rational go-getter. And when people say, how are you going to win this election? I'm going to say I'm going to be loud and tenacious. And they're like, well, what are you going to be like in the Senate? I'm like, also loud and tenacious. So I call my style aggressive optimism. So I don't think we're going to hell in a handbasket, but I do think that we really need to work hard to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Okay, I've got a new favorite candidate. I
You say that every week, Matt.
No, I don't. I could tell you stories. No. No, I like that idea because that's it. That's it exactly. That's it in a nutshell. I don't care if you're a moderate Democrat, traditional Democrat, liberal Democrat. I don't care. If you're a proud Democrat and you're out there pushing the message that you believe in, then you will win. And I think that that's what really scares Republicans is that this idea that the DFL has to be these, don't hit us again kind of things. No, we've got strong policies. We've got the policies that are the popular policies. We're looking out for all Minnesotans. You better fear us because we've got the policy to go with what we're saying.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I can't even see where the Republicans are coming from anymore. For a while there, I was like, I can see both sides. I really can. We need balance. And I still believe in balance. But the Republican Party has shifted so far that it feels like they just don't care about anybody who doesn't make $300,000 or more. And I'm being generous there. It's probably more like $500,000 or more. Mm-hmm. Because all the tax cuts they talk about are for the upper echelons. All the changes they want really will put money more in their pockets. And they have a great way of making you feel like it's for you, like you're a temporarily inconvenienced millionaire. Oh, we can't have this tax because it might affect me someday. So they've done a fabulous job on their marketing. But for real, you're right. Democrats are the ones that take care of people. They're for healthcare and schools and education and safety. And that's why I'm running. I'm running for education is my number one top priority. There is a lot that's right with our Minnesota system. But we're starting to fall in our national stats. And there's people in Senate who are doing their very best to disrupt the process. They're voting for zeros for increases for spending. And they blocked the entire education bill at the end of this session. And they did it to spite everybody. They just knelt on what are they saying? They knelt on the 1 yard line and ran out the clock because they feel like they'll get all the money next time. So I'm hoping we get all the money next time and we can do even better with it and make them regret walking away from that deal.
I think you're exactly right in your position on the school board. That gives you that front look where you're like, okay, wait a minute here. The entire Republican Senate education bill was a few $1 million for reading programs, and that's it. Nothing for individual schools, nothing for this. That was one of the most irresponsible. That just told me they weren't serious. They're just not serious, and they don't like public schools.
No, and Senator Chamberlain, his pet project of that letters program. It's a great program, it really is, but he just didn't want to hear a lot about the rest of what needs to be done. And spending that has an earmark on it that says you must do it for this, I can't believe Republicans make this, because that's not local control. And that's one of their party platforms. They just say, oh no, you can only use this money in this very specific way. And for example, Forest Lake already has the letters program. We invested in it years ago. So it was yet to be seen if that bill even passed, what would happen to districts that already went down that path. So I am much more for money on the cross subsidy to fill in the gaps, money on the formula so that districts can do what they need to do with money, and letting school boards and school administration make the choice that is most effective for their area, and not micromanage, because that's where we found a lot of our problems is you can do this, you can't do that with this money. And we don't need creative accounting. We really just don't need more of that.
One of the things I do like about your website too, and looking at your issues here, let's talk. I mean, obviously firearms are something that we were talking a lot about today after the tragedy in Texas. And the idea of, do you have weapons that were designed to kill human beings on a battlefield available for 18-year-olds and to be used to slaughter young children? I grew up in a hunting family. I was in the Army. I was U.S. Army. And I know this issue fairly well. The reality is one of the things that whenever you talk about, let's put some common sense regulations in place. The first thing people accuse you of is trying to ban all guns. That's not true, because they're trying to derail the discussion we can have about responsible firearms.
Right. Hyperbole is the best friend of the marketing and the meme culture. And I'm for responsible gun ownership. And I mean, I grew up on the East Coast. Was not part of a hunting family. I did not grow up in the culture of this, but I moved here nearly 20 years ago, and I worked at Polaris, where hunting is the bread and butter. That puts food on people's table, literally puts food on people's table that I know. And those people have a very, very good relationship with their firearms. They teach it. It's family bonding time. It's not, and they're not using it irresponsibly. And I think that the education side of things is there. And like you said, how did this get into the hands of an 18-year-old is beyond me. I know we talked briefly when you were saying, hey, come on. And I was thought, do I want to talk about that tragic thing? Because I have a 10-year-old. I have a fourth grader that I drop off at school. And, I dropped her off that Monday and Tuesday, and then I had to do it again on Wednesday. And it's hard to say, like, is she going into a safe situation? And we've had the conversation more than once. What do you do in an active shooter? And first is hide, and second is get out a window if you can. And third is, if there's 26 fourth graders and one shooter, throw everything you have at that person. And I keep psyching her up that 26 fourth graders versus one gunman, they'll win. But I'm saying that with my aggressive optimism. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to not have that conversation every 6 months or 2 weeks.
I was the same way after Newtown. I remember sitting at the bus stop waiting for my kids and just tearing up, just saying, I want them. I could not hug them hard enough. And this idea is of that there's nothing we can do about this. We can do things about it. We just choose not to. And that's, at the end of the day, that's the decision we've made. We've decided that the guns are more important than even children's lives. And that is not a sane society. We cannot have that going forward. And, nothing again, you want to have a hunting weapon, by all means. You want to have a personal defense pistol, by all means. But the reality is that weapons that were designed for the war battlefield probably should not be in the hands of 18-year-olds with a clip that holds 40 rounds.
Right. And or maybe they live at the range, just like the military. I mean, you were in the military, so you don't keep a weapon under your pillow. It lived in the armory.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's not where you did not sleep with your gun unless you're in a wartime scenario. But soldiers at home or in the barracks, they don't have weapons on their person at all times. They're in the armory, especially the mass weapons of war. So my sister was deployed in Afghanistan, and she's we called it her gungie. So it was the bungee attached between her uniform and her weapon, but it kept getting stuck on stuff. So she had to get used to carrying a weapon at all times because she was in Afghanistan, an active zone. But like, if you have to have these weapons in your life, they need to be in a very secure location, like a gun range in an armory. You can check it out like a library book when you get there. But we need to do something.
Yep.
Something more than nothing.
Well, and I always love that part of the well-regulated militia part, because we should be regulating that and training people how to use them, as opposed to just let's go buy one and start firing it off. That's just not right. People, if you're listening to this, Kate Luthner needs your help. We want to win 32. This would go a long way for the DFL to take back the majority in the Minnesota Senate. I could chat with you all day, Kate. You're fantastic. Yep. Let's get people to your campaign. I mean, help to all the listeners out there. Help your local DFLer. By all means, help them out. But if you're in a district that's a pretty much a slam dunk DFL win, get up to 32. Door knock, volunteer, donate. So, Kate, how do people do that?
I'm on Act Blue. That's my primary method, and it's been great. We have had supporters from out of district because a lot of the secure districts are secure. And you're right, we need to work on these winnable districts. I've been identified at the DFL as a winnable hot district. There's about 6 of us that they're working hard. There's no incumbent. It's myself and the other candidate are on equal footing for, who we are in society. But it comes down to a money game. So you're right. The more we get to work with, the better we can do. And it's 50-50. So I am willing to knock doors and just work it. We're going to keep it simple and do that. But Act Blue is the number one. And my website, I'm sorry you're seeing the old one. We're having a new one launched within the week. But all the data there is accurate. So the link is on every page. And if you're in Act Blue, if you just Google, search Luthner, Luthner. I don't actually sell cars, nor are we a religion, but it's very similar spelling. But I'm the only one in there. But there's a lot of Kates, so scroll through and find the right one. Somebody donated $1,000 last time, and nice. I called and said, "Hey, did you mean it? Because you're from Arizona." And he said, "No, I mean it, because I'm in a secure district and I want my money to work for me, and I like your style." I think you might have heard me on this potentially.
Well, okay, people, that's a challenge then.
That's a challenge.
Kate Luthner, MN Senate. That's the old website. When you get me the new one, I'll put the other one out. Okay, Kate?
It's going to be the same website. It's just getting a facelift.
All right. We'll link to all that. We'll link to the Act Blue as well. Kate Luthner, once again, Democrat of the Day, Senate District 32. Kate, all my best. You come back anytime, please, by all means.
Thank you so much. I'll get movies from you again next time.
We will talk more movies, and happy birthday to your daughter. We'll take a break.
You.
Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.